So, news. I started an Instagram live, but I just discarded it because I figured why not just come on here and say something. I know I was supposed to give you an update on what had happened. So, surprisingly, the doctor sent it in rather quickly, which I was surprised about. Well, that's why I said surprisingly. But unfortunately, it took 4 or 5 hours for the whole deal to be done. And of course, by the time I wound up, when I left to go to the plug, aka the pharmacy, it was already snowing. And in the hour time that I sat there and waited, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but it was just trying to avoid all of that, which didn't work out. It was freezing rain that I had to walk home in, but I mean, whatever. This is life. This is what it is. But I mean, since we're on the subject of pharmaceuticals, an article was just published, if you can call it that. It was like 2 paragraphs worth of information, if even, that was put out from a local news source in my area where I go to for all my weather, and they're usually pretty good with just keeping up with what all is happening. But so there were the state senate, I want to say, met up in my state's capital, Trenton, and the vote was held for whether or not marijuana should be put on the 2020 general election ballot in this upcoming November. As it turns out, the vote did pass through the Senate. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like 42 to 26 it passed. So pros, we'll start with the pros, is the fact that we get the opportunity to vote on it, which is a good thing. The secondary possible pro is that we could very well have legalized marijuana in the state of New Jersey, probably by 2021, because these things take time to put into effect. But when they want to give immigrants driver's licenses that quick, I don't understand it. And don't hear me wrong, I don't have a problem with them helping immigrants is the reason why I'm sitting in this chair right now in this country at this moment. I don't have an issue with that. I just feel like we should really take care of the problems that we have at home first before we can help other people. So that out of the way. Look, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that stance. Some of you might think I'm too soft. Some of you might think I'm too hard. Phrasing. But I mean, either way, it is what it is. Here's the cons, dude. Is one, I'm sure it will pass, but there is a very good chance it won't, because even people that are hardcore pro marijuana for the state for recreational use don't want this bill to pass. One, because we're changing our state's constitution to do it, and two, because even if we vote yes to legalize it, we have no idea what that is going to mean. As of this moment in time right now, December 16, 2019, 11:26 in the PM, it states that if this goes on the ballot, when this goes on the ballot, rather, in the event that it passes, it will be for adults 21 years or older to be able to buy and consume, and there will be a 6.625% sales tax with a loophole to allow counties, cities, towns, whatever you want to call it, to impose their own tax on top of that. It's a bit of a problem already, but we expected this. This is what it was going to be the whole time. The problem with this, another con, is we don't know. There's no mention of home cultivation, which is growing it at home yourself. There's no mention of expungement, which is very backwards, to say the least. I mean, I think that should just be built in automatically. The fact that it isn't is a comedy of errors in itself. I mean, come on, man. So there's that. We have no idea what we're voting on, essentially. Other than, alright, sure, let's legalize it, but what does that mean? Does that mean that we can have edibles? Does that mean, how much weight does that mean that a person can carry? How often can you go to a place to get it? Does that mean that any place that sells liquor and or nicotine products would hold it for it to be sold there? And on top of all of those things, I had it and I lost it. Hold on. I gotta think of what I was going to say. Oh, dispensaries. I know they're working on expanding them, but does that mean that we have to buy directly from the dispensaries? I'm not sure. And what is the pricing going to be like? Because the way that it is now, medical is 60 an eighth. And if you were around in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, an eighth, which is 3.5 grams, depending on who you talk to, costs about $60. As of recently, before the economy got boosted, or whatever you would call it, the stock market, as it were, decided to go up, it was only 30. Now I know this because I pay attention to what all goes on. I hear things. There's been plenty of talk about the underground market, and because of the fact that medical is so expensive, it's going to be difficult to wipe that market out entirely. So there's all of that. But I don't know what the pricing of this is going to be, because I'm not looking like, okay, 60 an eighth, fine, as much as it would hurt me to pay that. I should have brought my phone in with me. Let me pull a calculator up here. Give me a moment. Okay, so 16 is 3.5. So 60 and 60 would be 120. That would be 3.5 would be 7. That would be a quarter. So it would be 120 for a quarter, which is 7 grams. And then we go from there, and we'll move up to, we go from a quarter ounce to a half an ounce, which would be, an ounce is 28 grams. So a half an ounce, I'm bad at math. I'm not gonna lie to anybody. 28 divided by 2 is 14. Okay, I really should have known that. I'm a little rusty. It's been a while. Okay, so if a quarter is 120, and then we double that, 120 times 2 is 240 for a half. Jesus. So you see where this is going. We're already, if a half an ounce is $240, and by the way, that doesn't include taxes. We're not even including taxes into this. That's a lot of dough, dude. Not to mention, where are we getting it from? Again, I know this is I already covered this in a short span. Why are we skipping frames? What's happening here? I don't understand. Probably had this damn thing on for too long. But, we're already looking at 240 for a half. An ounce would be double that. Shit, I should have kept the calculator out. So let's just say 240 times 2, that's 480, not including tax. I'm not sure how to add up the tax money. I have to figure that out. But even still, before it's taxed, and that's even if they're going by medical rules, which because it's recreational, I'm sure these prices will double. But if they think that an eighth is gonna move for anything more than $60, they're out of their fucking mind. It's not gonna happen, dude. People are just they're not gonna do it that way. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. So, look, there's pros and cons to every situation. On one hand, and she agrees, on one hand, people won't be getting arrested unless they do dumb shit like drive. And do me a favor, please. Whether you have a medical license or it gets passed recreationally, don't fucking smoke and drive, dude. Because all that's gonna do is just make it look bad. We don't need all that. Like, I'm gonna quote Joey Diaz when I say this, because he makes a really good point. Out in California is where he lives, and he said, I don't smoke when I drive. And this dude is one of the biggest smokers that there is. But he was like, dude, they gave us the opportunity and the luxury, and I'm paraphrasing, to be able to have this shit. So why are we gonna spit in their face? I want you all to think about that. I know most people are not gonna listen, and they're gonna do whatever they want, but it's gonna be a glorious day, and I really hope that I live to see the moment where I can spark a joint outside, see a cop roll by, and just be like, hey, nothing's going on here. That I have dreamed about that for, like, I wanted to live in that world, honestly, because it does help. Obviously there's personal pros to this for me, even because I can't afford the medical license and all of that. If I was bigger, if I cut content in a different way, if I would have stuck with reactions and faked it all and never talked about anything controversial on the podcast, I'm sure I probably could have got sponsored already. I'm sure I would have had more followers, which would have enabled super chats and all that bullshit. But I have to be myself. I don't think it would be fair to me, and I don't think it would be fair to you if I were to come on here and pretend to be somebody that I'm not. That's just not okay. And I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I believe that if I did that, those of you that are still here wouldn't be here anymore if I went down that route. Because I would like to believe, and I don't know this to be a fact, I just hope it to be true, that because I'm transparent and honest and I'm not afraid to speak my mind, that you respect that. Even if we don't agree. That's the biggest thing here, is that we don't have to agree with one another. But just the fact that I can speak my mind. I know I've lost some people, RIP to them, but that's expected to happen. You know, I'm getting better. I'm getting better at the idea of not letting it bother me so much that I'll put a video out and people will be leaving. I understand that's just the way that it's going to be. But I'd rather you just leave instead of me pretend to be somebody that I'm not. Now, in the event it does get legalized, I would love to do some strain reviews. I would like to talk a little bit about the difference between the pain on it and not on it. I think that would be a very interesting thing to do. And I think it would give a good insight for those of you who may have relatives, friends, significant others who have similar issues to the ones that I have, or know somebody that suffers from chronic pain, so we can figure this stuff out together. And I know it's going to be different for everybody. I know it's going to be different for everybody. But at least if I can give you my opinion on it, you can at least take that information and hopefully you'll be able to use it in your own life. And I understand majority of you do not live in my state, let alone my country. And which, by the way, I know I say this often, but I really do mean it sincerely. I appreciate everybody who listens to the podcast. I know the content on the YouTube channel is going to slow down a little bit because I've been kind of struggling with doing things. I have plenty of stuff that is in the works right now, but I think I need to just step back a little bit. And you know, the numbers speak for themselves. I know I'm not one to be driven by numbers, but at the same time, I don't want to demean the podcast by putting out random videos about things. But they are on my mind, and some of this shit is just not, it's not a big enough topic to become a podcast. And I also understand that, you know, the podcast has taken a sharp left turn. It's gotten a little bit dark lately, but I've been going through some things. I would hope that you would understand that this podcast is the real deal. And I say that because I come on here and I speak my mind, and hopefully I help you. If not, you know, I understand. I know I'm going to upset some people, but that's just the way the game goes. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. I mean, sure, I can clean things up a little bit, but, I mean, you know, So the main point of what I'm getting at is we're going to see November's a long way away. Matter of fact, while we sit here, let's just take a look. We're in December now, so we're not going to count December. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 11 months, 12 if you count the remainder of December, which is an eternity in some senses, because that's a lot of people that are arrested. There's a lot of people that still have to do things a certain way and take risks that are unnecessary, in my opinion. I feel that we could have reached this way sooner than we have. The fact that we even have to wait until November is a travesty on some levels in and of itself, but I understand some people are going to be like, well, dude, you should be happy that you even are getting what you all are getting. But again, I would bring you back to that part of the argument where we don't know exactly what we're getting, and that is a problem. Again, to reiterate, edibles, maybe. How much weight can we carry? How many times can we buy? Are they going to scan our licenses and our IDs the way that they do with nicotine products? You know, these are questions that need to be answered. Expungement, very important, near and dear to my heart. And I'm not saying that I should get a free pass because I fucked up. And, you know, I should not have. But, I mean, come on, man. Everybody, you do what you need to do to get by. You do what you need to do to get by. And I'm not saying that it's right. But at least the one saving grace I feel like I have is, you know, I never sold cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, anything like that. I wouldn't give somebody something that I wouldn't do myself. You know, the whole reason why I'm in this mess in the first place is because of my goddamn conscience, which maybe we can get into at some point in time, because it is a bit of an interesting story. I mean, interesting really isn't the right word, but, you know, it doesn't pay to have a conscience. It really doesn't. You know, they say there's no honor amongst thieves, and there's no honor. There's no honor in business either, no matter what business it is, which is a shame in and of itself. Like, I'm trying to help you. I don't want to be the one that fucks up your life. I don't want to be the one that fucks up your life. Okay, you can go find somebody else to do that for you, because I know if you really want to, you will. But I'm not going to be the one to do it, because I know that if it was Jen on the other end of it in a certain circumstance, I wouldn't want somebody to overlook that detail. That would be fucked up. But enough about that. I should be jumping for joy right now. We've been fighting for this for a long time. I just feel like we've been cheated, and I would like them to put all their cards on the table, but the reality of the fact is, if I can't even get a weed advocacy group to talk to me, how the hell am I going to get the government to put their cards out on the table? I don't think it's a lot to ask. But I guess that depends on who you're asking. So we'll see how it goes. We'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully, as time goes on, there will be more details. And if there's any justice in the world, I will be alive when this all goes down. And, it'll be a wrap for the nicotine. I can finally have what I want back in the first place. Because I would much rather smoke marijuana than cigarettes. Not only that, but hopefully be able to get off of the muscle relaxers as well. And even if using the weed recreationally, quote unquote, even though it'll be for medical purposes, to get off the muscle relaxers. And it's going to be more expensive, and I'm not going to be able to afford it all the time, but at least that's 3 less pills that I'll be on every day. And I'll feel like I want to function. Because, to be completely honest with you, I would have came in here and did a video sooner. I just, sometimes the medication just takes the drive away from you. Whereas the marijuana, for me personally, makes me feel productive. I feel good. There are some weird things that happen, but that's a discussion for another time. I don't want to make this too long. It's just that it's a messed up system that it's in my better interest to just stay on pills, which is much cheaper than it would be to go to, in my opinion, and I'm no doctor, to use marijuana as a replacement. And hopefully it will help with my brain. That's real. I hope so. I really do. I'm hoping that it definitely makes the physical therapy much easier to do. I don't feel like I have to drag myself through the day. I have energy. I'm regulated. There's a lot that goes into it. So I wish I could be more happy about this. But honestly, if, like I said before, if they put all their cards out on the table, I would be behind this a lot more. But I mean, if this is the best we're gonna get, unfortunately, I feel like I have to call their bluff. And I know whatever the end result is, majority of us are probably not going to be happy with it. But at the same time, if I continue going down the road I'm going, even though it's not abuse, I mean, it's a matter of what do you want to abuse? Do you want to beat the shit out of your liver? Or do you want to beat your lungs up a little bit? It's fucked up. But I would put the cigarettes down in a heartbeat to go back to weed, dude. 100%. I would. I just don't understand how we live in a world where nicotine is legal and marijuana is a big ordeal. I don't pretend to understand it. And I got a comment from somebody a couple hours ago. My apologies to you, sir. Or ma'am. I'm not sure. They commented like 13 hours ago on an earlier video that I did about the medication. And they said, I'm on a script, controlled drugs. I don't trust anyone from the NA, Narco Anonymous here in the UK. That they send my script to the pharmacy They fucked me up many times, so I ring the pharmacy 2 days before it's due just to make sure it's there. If you would like to understand what the concept of why that comment is there, you can go to Comedy of Errors Part 1, and that will explain it to you, because I went into a little bit about that. You know, I thought I was a bit of a weirdo, but I would like to say to this person, if you happen to be watching this and or listening to it, however it is that you consume your content, I hope that whoever is treating you is actually treating you rather than judging you. And, you know, I want you to get what it is that you need, be healthy as you possibly can. I don't know what your issues are necessarily, and I wouldn't be opposed to having a conversation about them, but I understand a lot of people don't want to go down that road. So, look, I've rambled on long enough. We'll just say it for what it is, and we'll call this a mini podcast because it's about a half hour, and I mean it is Monday, but I'll put this for tomorrow. So there, and it'll just be a video version. I'm not gonna edit audio because I'm currently working on an episode right now, which has been pretty tough for me to get through, just because I feel like I'm bitching more than anything. So, you know, in the future, after the next few episodes come out, I'm gonna try to bring this into more of a positive space. You know, try to bring it back to being more funny and all of that. But serious shit is gonna come up from time to time. That is just going to happen. This is like my therapy, honestly. So, if you're not into that, I understand. But I'm still trying to work this shit out myself. We're a year strong right now. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I'm happy with where it is. If it grows bigger, that's great. If it doesn't, okay. I'm doing what I enjoy doing. I was never gonna make it on the radio. So, with the help of some friends and some loyal supporters, I carved my own lane and I'm doing it myself. And just lastly, to reiterate, you don't need to agree with everything I say. I don't need to agree with everything that you say. But the point is that we should have an open dialogue with one another, if that's the right word. You know, just because we don't agree doesn't mean we can't have a conversation. Even if we don't wind up meeting halfway, I don't really see what the issue is. But that's for you to decide. Obviously, anybody who has been around even for a little while, you should know that I'm open to talking to any of you about damn near anything. So, you know, it's up to you, dude. You decide what it is that you want to take in your life or what you don't want to take into your life. If that means not having a in-depth conversation with a stranger that you don't know on the internet, I understand. Some days you're not in the mood for that shit. But I just feel like we're leaving a lot on the table if we don't at least explore our different ideologies, because I don't want to live I don't want to live in an echo chamber. You know, I like to hear different ideas, different opinions, especially those that I don't agree with. So, you know, it is what it is. Look forward to the November election in 2020, and we'll see if any other details come out. I will update you as I know, because I'm sure even if you don't live in this state, if you live in another country, no matter where you are in the world, I'm sure it's probably interesting to have a front row seat to seeing in real time how all of this shit goes down. So with all that being said, I should have plugged this in the beginning, and I never do because I always mess it up. But that's alright. We're gonna work on things, and we're still gonna get to where we need to go. But Laughing at Birds, every Saturday, check out the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, Anchor. Rate it. Do me the favor. That just makes it more visible for other people to see it so that it can grow. More people can be aware of what it is that we have going on here. And maybe in the future, that will enable us to get guests on in the event that, you know, I want to talk to somebody interesting, or you have a suggestion for a guest. You know, the only way we can get that person on here is if, you know, we're strong in what we do. However, you know, authenticity is key. Transparency is important. So, I'm not willing to sacrifice those things for any guest, any sponsor, any amount of money. Because then I'm just another run-of-the-mill podcast, another run-of-the-mill YouTube channel, and I want to make this into something that when it's all said and done, when the internet cuts out for a final time, when the lights go out in this room and the computer is shut off for the last time, I want this as a whole to be something that I'm proud of. And in the event that anything should happen to me, for the people that I know, if they were to so choose to, be able to look back at this, especially for those who maybe, for whatever reason, kept their distance, maybe they didn't feel comfortable, whatever the reason was, and at least they can get a better understanding of what I'm about, because that's important as well. So thank you to everybody who has hung out from beginning to end. Live streams will be coming soon. Working on some shit with BCHQ coming up in a couple days. That will be coming out. Not sure when. We're going to figure it out. We're going to be covering some heavy shit. We're going to be talking about OCD and possibly a few other things. You know, you never know where the conversation could wind up when we get into a conversation together. But this is what it is, man. I'll see you all later on.